1, 2, 3. So I'm not forgetting any children, right? That was it? That's all we had? Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming. My name is Rebecca. Alvin and I have been partners in crime for over 10 years now. I just wanted to introduce the kids. Who are you?
I'm Jackson.
Who are you?
Charlie.
And who are you?
I'm Ellie.
Excellent. Very good, guys. Right? Okay, I don't know where we're going, but that's good. All right. So my job was to sort of intro you guys to Alvin and cue a video. What I would actually like to do is to tell you guys a story. A few weeks ago, Jack got sick, right? He's healthy and happy now, but we rushed to the emergency department in the middle of the night, had some great care while we were there, but ended up having to stay overnight. We were admitted for the night for some observation, and in the morning, on our way out, Jack's discharged, he's healthy, he's happy, all is well, it's a happy ending. We are driving the car and stop at the pay station. I put my ticket in, I pay the parking meter, and away we go. Jack turns to me and he says, what are you doing? I said, well, we parked in the hospital overnight, and we have to pay them to be able to park here. And he says, but I was sick. I didn't want to come here. I was sick. Why is it fair that we should have to pay to park when we're sick? And then he follows that up by saying, what about the other people? What if somebody who can't pay to come to stay at the hospital needs to come to the hospital? Does that mean that even though they're sick, they can't come here? And I thought, first of all, that's amazing. I'm really tired and I can't quite comprehend what you're getting at right now. But then it hit me later, and it made me really appreciate the values that my husband is teaching our children. Things like equity, kindness, intelligence, altruism, and I was really proud. And I'm really happy to be able to call Alvin my partner and my husband. These are the kind of qualities and values that we need to see in the Liberal Party. Thank you. Thanks, guys. If you draw your attention to one of the two screens, we have a little something for you. I'm going to try and figure out how to turn it.
I do worry about what the world will look like for my kids by the time they reach my age. There's the science showing us that climate change is coming. It's going to have a huge impact on our lives.
Well, the main issue that I've got now is the environment. I'm really petrified.
My parents, they definitely worry about my future in the sense that it's going to be like 10 times harder for me to do anything, like find a job, be able to afford a house.
Working in 40 years of nursing, seeing the changes and how much money there is needed to be invested in it. I still wake up with anxiety about it. With certain situations, I'm like, oh my God, that was so bad and so dangerous. There just isn't enough to go around.
They have to help, not appear to help. And many times I look at it, the government as appearing to help people, but the results aren't there. And I know it's very difficult to work with people who have mental health issues and addiction problems. And we can't abandon these people at the side of the road, but we have to find something that works.
I know firsthand what it's like to be in the classroom and teaching, and the idea that they're going to be going into a school system that doesn't fund the programs the way they should, where they're going into a system that won't give them the opportunities to study, that really concerns me. I mean, at my school alone, there was a ton of courses cut, and that's just in the first year of these government changes.
When our youngest finally graduated out of daycare, it was a big deal. It was a big like, hurrah, let's pop some champagne, we don't have to pay for daycare anymore. Which, if you think about it afterwards, is just a reflection of how much daycare truly is. We worked out the cost of it, and it made sense for me to go to work, but only marginally. That's how much it costs to send our kids to daycare.
I am joined now in studio by Alvin Tedjo.
Alvin Tedjo.
With Alvin Tedjo.
This is a good idea. I'd like my government to do this. We know that there's a benefit to society, and that's the benefit that we need to talk about.
Alvin is a father. Alvin is a great dad.
I don't think that I could have asked for a better partner. And I think every day I realize now how lucky I am to have chosen him as my partner.
We're fighting for our neighbors, we're fighting for our parents, we're fighting for our children, we're fighting for an education system that's second to none and publicly funded. We're fighting for a publicly funded healthcare system. We're fighting for better transit, and we're fighting to protect our environment.
We live in an amazing province. We have one of the best education systems in the world. We eliminated coal, and we've been preparing our economy for the jobs of the future. But all of that is now at risk. People are having a hard time paying the bills. Climate change is real, and it's getting worse. We're failing in future generations by pulling resources out of the classroom and making post-secondary education more expensive. This is not the future we envision for our families. And big issues need big solutions, not billboards and stickers. Every generation has a promise to leave the world a better place for the generation that follows them. And we need leadership now that's ready to fight for a better future. So are you ready to fight for our climate, our economy, our education, to fight for our future? My name is Alvin Tejo, and I'm ready. Join me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alvin Tejo.
Kevin! Thank you so much, buddy. Brad. Thank you. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Long time no see. Hello. Hello. Hi, Mom. Hey, how are you? Can you give me a hug? You gonna jump? You gonna jump? He busted that. He hit me in the face. All right. Yes.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
Thankful. How do I do this?
Take it with you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Please let me start by thanking Rebecca, my partner. I love you. You're amazing. Thank you for our wonderful 3 children. Thank you for being such an amazing partner. And thank you for coming up and talking, because I know that you don't love talking about politics in front of other people. So thank you so much. Thank you to my kids, who didn't really have a choice to come here today, but came anyway. Jack, Ellie, and Charlie, you really are the reason I'm doing this. That and to work on my French, because they like to make fun of me in terms of my inability to speak as good French as they can. They go to a French first language school. Charlie likes correcting me when I'm reading him bedtime stories in terms of how I should actually say things. But anyway, here it goes. I'm going to try it out. Bonjour mes amis. Merci beaucoup pour ma famille d'être ici aujourd'hui et de votre soutien. Je parle un petit français, mais j'y travaille. So I'm working on it. And I have some family here too. So I wanted to say selamat datang, terima kasih, saya punya teman sama keluarga yang datang hari ini. Thank you to my extended family for being here as well. My parents, my in-laws, who came here from London, Ontario. And there are a number of people in this room that we need to recognize for their contributions to our party, to our province, and to our country. And I'm going to start with Brad Duguid from Scarborough Centre, who is the former Minister of Training Colleges and Universities, Economic Development. He was my boss for a couple of years, and he taught me that the best thought out policy in the world isn't going to have an effect on people if we can't communicate it, if we can't get that message across to people. So thank you, Brad, for coming in for that message. Kevin Flynn is here. He's our member for Oakville. We're in his riding right now. Kevin's been an elected member for the last 33 years on council as an MPP, as the Minister of Labour, and he's currently running for the federal nomination here in Oakville to represent us in Ottawa. Just trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody, but I saw Ian is here. Ian is our candidate for Niagara West, recently nominated, and I like to say that Ian is part of the next generation here in the Liberal Party. He's part of the new wave of candidates that we're getting here in Canada and in Ontario. So good luck to you, Ian. Walt Elliott, who is a former member for Halton, is also here. And I'm truly sorry if I missed anyone else, if I didn't see you. But thank you all so much for coming. I am so excited to be here today to talk to you about the future. To talk to you about the future of our party and the future of our province. We already know that Ontario is a great place to live. My parents came here in the late 70s looking for a better place to live, looking for opportunity, looking for a place to raise their kids in a safe environment. And they found that. They found it right here, 15 minutes down the road where I grew up. A place with a world-class education system, a thriving economy, clean air, and clean water. But these things aren't things that we can take for granted. They don't happen by accident. And I think Ontario is at a turning point right now because this government is making short-sighted decisions with no real plan for the future. They're doing real damage, and they're risking letting Ontario fall behind. We've got 3 kids, so I'm always worried about the world that they're currently growing up in. And I'm worried about the future that they're going to inherit. Even though this government's only been in power for 12 months, they've done an incredible amount of damage, and people are starting to notice. People are seeing the cuts every day in the news. People are seeing the patronage appointments that they're making every day. People are seeing the protests from parents, from students, from everyday Ontarians. And people see that this government doesn't have a plan for our future. So we as a party, we as a society, we can't wait until 2022. As Liberals, as Ontarians, we need to start getting involved now. And we need to start organizing. And we can't do that until we address what's wrong with our party. And we have to be honest about what happened. We got crushed. We got absolutely crushed in the election last year. And we need to learn from that past. And we need to listen. We really need to listen. That's what I've been trying to do in our tour across Ontario over the last couple of months. We've gone out to Windsor, we were in Ottawa, Sudbury, Niagara, everywhere in between. And what I've heard is that as a party, we didn't listen enough to Ontarians. We didn't listen enough to our members. People didn't feel included in what we were doing. People didn't see themselves in our priorities. So let's learn from that, and let's do better. We have an opportunity right now to reshape and rebuild our party into the modern political movement that it needs to be. To do that, we have to make our party more open. We have to make it more inclusive. We have to make it more accessible. We have to make it more responsive. We have to remove the barriers that prevent people from joining and participating in the party in the first place. And that's why I think party membership needs to be free. A membership fee is a barrier to joining the party. It's a cover charge. More and more people are getting active and excited about politics, and we need to give everyone a chance to participate in the democratic process, regardless of how much money they make or who they know. Because there is hope. Because even though we lost last year, 1.1 million Ontarians still voted for us. So we should reach out, and we should give every one of them an opportunity to get involved and be part of the party. We should give them the opportunity to be members, to listen to their new ideas, to the new energy, to their new perspectives that they're going to bring to the party. And there's more to do to prove that we really did learn from the last election, and that we need to do a better job of listening to people, including our own members. And I think we need to do that by starting to trust our own members to make decisions, trust them to vote directly for their leadership candidates. Every other major political party in the country has already learned this lesson, including our federal cousins. So let's take this opportunity to catch up, to open up the party and have people and their voices heard. And let's make sure we never stop listening to our members, never stop listening to Ontarians, by making sure that we have strong local associations. Decisions shouldn't be made at Queen's Park or in Toronto. They're made in our communities. So we need our communities to have a voice in the party. And we need to make sure that that relationship with our members are more than just every 4 years for knocking on doors or giving us donations. It needs to be a meaningful relationship where they can be involved in the process in between elections. Rebuilding and reforming our party into the open, inclusive, accessible party that it needs to be is a big job. And not one single change will get the job done. But I think free memberships, one member, one vote, making sure that we have strong associations can and should be the heart of what gets us there. And we need to get there because there's too much at stake. There's a lot at stake right now, and if our party isn't strong enough, if our party isn't big enough, if our party isn't organized enough, then we're not going to be ready to fight the Conservatives in 2022. And there are big challenges ahead of us. And there's only a few years to get there before we have to be ready to try and replace the short-sighted government. We can't wait, so let's get started. And let's get started by becoming the party that we used to be, a party of big ideas, a party that isn't afraid to put forward big solutions to big problems. Because we're facing some major challenges in Ontario right now. People every day who I've been talking to are feeling more and more uncertain about their future. Their cost of living is going up. Their salaries aren't keeping pace. That means that parents can't afford to put their kids in daycare, go back to work without going into debt. That means that young people who are looking to start a family or buy a home can't because they can't afford to buy a home, they can't afford to pay off their student debt. We're facing a rapidly changing economy where artificial intelligence, automation, robotics, technology are all slowly transitioning our economy away from the jobs of today. Despite that fact, the current government is making short-sighted decisions and cutting the programs that were helping us prepare for what's coming. They did that last week. And instead of making a plan for our future, they're worried about making billboards, changing license plates, and stickers. Stickers that are there to fight action on climate change. And whether we like it or not, climate change is real, and it has a real effect on our lives. It's the greatest threat to our society. It's a threat to our safety, our economy, and our way of life. And this current government is not taking any action to combat this. They're ideologically opposed to taking real action to reduce emissions. And instead of our robust plan to fight climate change, they literally gave away $3 billion in revenue. $3 billion in revenue from cap and trade that they gave away that could have been spent on energy conservation, could have been spent on public transit, could have been spent on clean technology, all the things that we need to do to prepare for the future. Because this government just doesn't get it. They don't get that the fight against climate change isn't a burden, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Ontario to lead the way. We can lead the way on the environment. We can lead the way on the economy of the future. And we can do that because of the world-class education system that we have. The education system that we cherish that is now being challenged and dismantled day by day. We've seen this government pull resources out of the classroom, out of schools across the province. We've seen class sizes going up. We've seen autism supports getting canceled. We've seen cuts to student support programs that had real effects to change our graduation rate from 68% to 86% in the last 10 years. They have no plans to make education work better for students and parents. That means teachers are getting fired. That means high schools are canceling courses. And that means less help for students with special needs. So our students today, my kids, your kids, the next generation, they need an education system that prepares them for the future. That's what we owe them. That's what the education system is for, is to prepare the next generation for the future. Post-secondary education, skills training, is now more necessary than ever before. People are changing their careers to prepare for the new economy. The current government doesn't seem to get this, and they're setting Ontario up and Ontario workers for failure by abandoning their responsibility to get our education system right. And these challenges are real, and we need our leaders to be honest about them. So we can't afford to wait to challenge the way that this government is hurting Ontarians across the province. We can't wait because they're damaging our ability to build a stronger future. We can't afford to wait to address the existential issues of our time, and how we respond to these challenges today and in the months ahead will literally shape the world that we live in for the next generation. So what do we do about it? What are our values? What's our vision that we're going to present to Ontarians? I'm 20 years younger than our current premier. So I like to think about what kind of Ontario we can have. What kind of province can we have 20 years from now? Let's have an Ontario where parents can send their kids to daycare without going into debt or spending a quarter of their salary like parents do now. Let's have an Ontario where people can count on their paychecks keeping up with the cost of living. Let's have an Ontario where we're prepared for the future by making smart investments in technologies of the future and ensure that Ontario maintains its competitive and innovation advantage. Let's have an Ontario where workers are able to train for the skills that they need in order to succeed in the future. Our vision for the future has to include building a low-carbon economy that rewards climate-friendly jobs and contributes to a sustainable future. Our Ontario needs to include support for clean tech and become a leader in climate protection and the green economy. A vision for a future that has a public education that prepares every single student for the future. Whether that's the skilled trades, college or university, employment or entrepreneurship. We need to be a province that believes and invests in lifelong learning, that believes and invests in post-secondary education, training and retraining opportunities that are affordable, that are accessible, and that are designed to help people enter and succeed in the economy of the future. If we focus on the problems that confront us, if we don't get distracted by the billboards and the stickers, if we meet these challenges head on and prepare ourselves for a better future, we can do it. Now, I may be young, but I'm not new to politics. I've spent my adult life fighting for students, fighting for other parents, fighting for educators, fighting for our environment. And we know what progress for Ontario looks like. And it's not the current government that we have. And to be honest with you, I'm angry. I'm frustrated. And I'm angry that they're tearing down what we've built and that they're leaving a mess for our future generation. But getting angry at the government isn't enough, because being angry is easy. Tweeting is easy. Doing something about it is hard. So as Liberals, as Ontarians, we need to start getting involved now. In front of us is an opportunity to offer people hope and a vision for something better. There's an opportunity right now for us to be the ones that tackle the big challenges and put bold solutions on the table. So that's why I'm here before you today to say that when our leadership contest starts, you can count me in. Let's do this together for our party, for our economy, for our climate, for our education system, for our healthcare system, for our future. So a campaign like this is hard work, but building a better future is hard work. But I know that we can do it, and I know that we need to do it, that this will be the fight of our lives and the fight for our future. We owe it to our parents who worked so hard to get us here. And we owe it to the future generation to make sure that we're trying to make a real difference and make the world a better place, to make the province a better place for everyone in Ontario. And today is only the beginning of our journey. We've got a long way to go, and we can't afford to wait. So let's get started. I hope you'll join me. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. You come back up. Like that?